What's up? Welcome back. We're playing Film Bingo. So if you had in your 2025 bingo card either Robert De Niro arguing with himself or Robert De Niro trying to kill himself in a situation that is not suicide, then you just won. Bingo. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is The Alto Nights, one of the strangest movies that you will watch this year. It does have audio description. It was done by Deluxe, and I waited until this was available on Max. I used my time wisely. So it's also directed by Barry Levinson. Good God, we're going to get into that. Click like and subscribe because I'm developing a cult following that you want to be a part of here. We're going to have a handshake. I don't know what it is yet. I'm blind, so if you want to come up with one and then tell me what to do with it, sure. As long as you've seen the Alto Nights, then you sat through. Shockingly, this is not one of the worst films of the year. I did look at what I currently have as sort of like my bottom 15 films of the year, and I was like, nah, this isn't even close. Which is, I don't know what that says about the kind of movies that I watch, but I've seen like Mob Cops, which was released this year with David Arquette and Kevin Connolly and is also about the mob. That's worse than this. So there's something to be said about even when Barry Levinson is not operating at full capacity, he's still competently directing a film more so than whoever the fuck directed Mob Cops. So, yeah, this is a weird one, man. So Robert De Niro is playing two characters, and I don't know why. I can't for the life of me. They're not related. This isn't like Freaky Friday, although that would be great. Like a Freaky Friday mob movie, that would be amazing. And then they like trade mob families. Oh my God. That would be a hit. That would be a box office smash. I can feel it already. That is the route that they should have gone instead of we got, I don't know, Frank Costello and Vito something. They're all like mob names that I've heard before. It's mostly told from Frank's perspective because there's an attempted assassination on his life at the beginning of the film, but it's by Vito, who's also played by Robert De Niro. So he shoots himself in the head. I don't know, man. So it's got some other people in it too. Deborah Messing, probably most notably in this film. I don't think anybody else is going to really want to remind people that they were in the Alto Nights. She is saddled with playing one of his wives. The other one divorces him halfway through the movie, so she doesn't have to endure being the other wife for very long. But Deborah has to be there with half of De Niro for like the duration of the film. And I was just like, how old is, oh my gosh, she's 57. Oh, and he's not. So, but then again, I think De Niro just became a father again, like last year. So I'm sure for him, he was like, isn't she a bit old for me? So I like De Niro, but this feels like the kind of movie that like had a production start date, and if it was gonna lose the production start date, the movie wouldn't happen. And then whoever was supposed to play opposite Robert De Niro dropped out, and then they were like, we don't know what to do. And De Niro's like, I'll do both. And they were like, what? It's so strange. It might work. Let's do it. I don't know why Bobby just couldn't call Al on the phone and be like, hey, I need you. We've got a film. Because this is not like an incompetent script. This isn't an incompetent film, but it becomes nonsensical to listen to Robert De Niro argue with himself multiple times in the movie, especially as a blind person. Like, I can't even imagine what it's like to watch, like, as a sighted person and be like, oh my God, they're arguing with themselves. And I know that's like a thing that we've got going on this year. We had like 2 Robert Pattinsons and Mickey 17 and two Michael B. Jordans and Sinners. So, like, why does De Niro not get to do it? I don't know. Well, in Pinky 17, he's playing a clone, and I think in Sinners they're brothers. So he's not related here. It's just a really odd choice. Um, so it's these two crime bosses who were friends and not, and one tries to kill the other, and the other thinks about retaliating and also just getting out of the business and is trying to zig and zag, and the law is coming down on both of them because they want to crack down on corruption, and it sort of shows the stories of how, you know, various trials and investigations and how all that goes down. And it, it's it ends up crossing over a lot. There's some times where like De Niro just breaks the fourth wall and he'll be like sitting on a park bench just talking to you, just talking to the camera. So he's not really narrating anymore. He's just kind of like, welcome to my story. This is my life. But it would be more effective if he was only playing one character. So Barry Levinson, who has just, I mean, he's not perfect. He's not one of the directors that we talk about in the same breath as Scorsese, Nolan, Spielberg, some of those people where it's really hard to find the bad films. Levinson, it's a little bit easier to find the bad films, but he has some great films. He has Diner, he has Rain Man. I really love Sleepers. I think people sleep on Sleepers as a film. um, and he's done some solid work, and he's also written some stuff. He's a credited writer for Tootsie. You know, he's produced a bunch of things. He produced a documentary last year, America's Burning, that I reviewed. That was one of the better documentaries I saw last year. Not the best, but one of the better ones. And I don't know, he's just been sort of all over the place and really involved. Wag the Dog, you know, another great one. I don't see what he saw in this, you know, because I can't see the forest through the trees, you know, because I just see De Niro in two roles, and it's so distracting that to try to analyze whatever else he's trying to say or do through the story is really hard, because you're trying to figure out what is it that you're trying to say or do by having these characters played by the same actor. It's such a wild choice that makes no sense, that instead of being able to interpret the rest of his choices throughout the film, you end up sort of trying to interpret and try to read into why he makes this sort of bizarre choice in terms of casting. Otherwise, it's just kind of like a standard mob movie. It's nothing really to write home about. Even if we had swapped one of them out and it was Pacino, it would be okay. It wouldn't be great. You know, I just did this 31 on 31 that some other YouTubers did to hop on that bandwagon. They did not invite me. I was very upset about that. And it was about all these mob movies, and the Alto Nights was not considered for that, which is obviously an egregious error on their part. But yeah, movies like this just don't get remembered, and they don't get considered because they're not memorable. The Alto Nights is a film that will be remembered in a year or 5 years from now. It'll be a film that just sort of gets forgotten. It's a film that if you did decide to purchase it on iTunes, you're going to be like, oh God, I accidentally bought that. Fuck me. You know, even a great De Niro fan, this can be on like the low end of the list, because while he's fine here, he is also kind of in his wheelhouse. So it's not like you can't find him playing a mafia type in 10 other movies that are better than this. So there really isn't a reason to watch this. Deborah Messing doesn't really get offered a lot of dramatic roles, but they don't do enough with her here for you to be able to be like, well, Deborah Messing is good, because she's not really. She's just here. As are really the rest of the supporting cast. So it's fine. I was expecting like a travesty, like an honest to God. Some people talk about this movie like it's a train wreck. It's not a train wreck of a film. It's a film that's made a train wreck through a bizarre choice. Like through one weird casting decision or one sort of odd in left field choice that could have been corrected right away. You end up with, you know, this thing that is sort of distractingly uh, against the sort of typical mediocrity in which the film lives. The film is everything that you've seen before in a mafia movie. It's everything that you've already watched. It's a story you've already seen told. Uh, I don't even read mafia stuff, and as soon as I heard Frank Costello, I was like, oh my God, I've heard that name like 5,000 times in other movies. Just Google it, and you're like, oh, well, these are the movies that have featured the story of Frank Costello. So it's not a story you can't, it's something like it's like an unsung story. Mob Cops, at least, was sort of, I guess, from a perspective that hadn't been really taken apart that many times based on a true story, just with horrible casting choices. This is a story that has been told before, so why tell it again? And why did we think that DeNiro acting opposite it? Was this on his bucket list? Did he pay for this? Was he like, I'm close to dying and I've always wanted to do the Freaky Friday Parent Trap thing, the thing where we're opposite each other on the screen? I've really wanted to yell at myself on camera before. Maybe that's how we got here. I actually really like the audio descriptions of this. It's deluxe. I have an inability to remember narrators' names after like the first time that I've heard them, or even like the second. Or I have to know who you are a couple times. But I actually really like the narrator here. It's a female narrator. She did a really nice job. The audio description is really well written. Deluxe usually does really solid work. It's balanced pretty well. The sound for the movie is not. The sound has some times where it has that really like cheap sort of dead sound to it, where there's this weird sort of like echoey chamber thing, almost like you're in the shower, but they're not in a shower. It's that kind of sound that you would get like if you recorded everybody in a shower, but not. And it happens a couple times in the movie. There was one scene that was oddly, like, I thought the scene was too quiet for what it was. Like, for some reason we dropped back. So I don't know what's up with the sound design for this movie, if the sound team quit halfway through mixing, or did they run out of budget? I don't know. But the sound editing and design on the film part feels odd also. It's odd choices, because some of the things are completely solid, perfectly well done, mixed with the score. The acting comes through clear. Everything is spot on. And then they have these other scenes in the movie where you're like, is this the best that we could do? Is this Barry Levinson? Did he make this choice? Or is this, did we run out of time? Did we run out of money? What it feels like there's a story. Like later on, someone on YouTube is gonna have a video that's like, the story of the Alto Nights. Which is a weird title for the film, by the way. In case you're wondering what the Alto Nights is, and you're like, I don't understand. It's a nightclub. And they don't even spend that much time at it. So, it's not even the only nightclub in the film, either. It's not even like the central location. And I get it. He's named other films after locations. Diner before. This is not Diner, though. So, I don't know what to do with the Alto Nights. It's not good. It's not a good film, but it's not a terrible film. It's the film that I would not recommend. De Niro is oddly good if he could just choose one role. The worst part's when he's having to act opposite himself, and he's trying to figure out where he pitches his voice differently. Because then sometimes like a character ends up with like a slightly higher pitched voice in a scene, but that character doesn't have a naturally higher pitched voice in other scenes because he's not keeping up that ruse because he doesn't need to. So it's odd. So in some scenes, yeah, because he's been doing the mafia type thing for so long, he's really good at it. But in other scenes, it's like, why on God's earth did you choose to do this? You know, why are you here? Why is this movie? Um, I'm gonna have to give it a C minus. It's not great, but it's also not terrible. There's something to be said about even Barry Levinson on a bad day. You know, it still is competently directed. There are too many movies out there that are incompetently directed because the talent behind the camera doesn't exist. There is no talent. It's just somebody who's been given a camera. It's somebody who somehow convinced the studio to give them money. It's somebody who kickstarted a campaign to direct an indie film that nobody's ever going to watch. It's something like that. Or it's something just egregious, like watching Rennie Harlan try to direct his way out of The Strangers Chapter 1. Like, those are awful movies. Barry Levinson seems to be able to keep himself mostly out of the god-awful zone and into just sort of like varying levels of meh, that was all right. I don't need to see that again. I wouldn't recommend it, you know, but not like the kind of films where you go and you go, oh my God, what, what on earth? What was that? He almost did that here to himself. He almost shot himself in the foot by doing the casting of DeNiro. And it's a little, some choices. He may be getting up there in age. We may need to retire him. He may start getting into the Francis Ford Coppola megalopolis phase of his life. I don't know. We may need to tell him, no more for you, sir. No more behind the camera. We need to maintain your legacy as being a solid director. We can't let you end on a megalopolis. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.